Time to be doing that bullshit. On to good news. Welcome back to BS with Brian Simpson. We're in our new studio in Austin, Texas. Yes, I moved to Austin. I could not pass up the opportunity to gentrify the whites. So, my apologies for the audio last week. It was kind of a makeshift. I've actually made it for a couple of weeks, and the first week was kind of, I makeshift, and I was using the wrong shit, and it was just bam. So now we're back professional setting, and let's get it real started. Robert, what was that? What was that thing that you sent me yesterday, or did you talk to me about it?
I think I just chatted with you about it. What it was it the chess cheater with the anal beads?
Oh yeah, Rob is echoing in my headset.
Oh yeah, we're getting an echo. Sorry about that. Let me double check on that.
Yeah. So apparently, I'm surprised at how often we talk about chess on here. But the greatest chess player alive, Magnus Carlsen. He's widely considered the best chess player in the world. He has been the world champion for like more than a decade now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he just recently lost to a rival, I suppose you could call him. And afterwards, he tweeted something about like how beating somebody one time isn't revenge, and this sort of thing. And he alluded to this guy cheating. He did not outright call him a cheater. But it was because the guy made a move that Magnus didn't expect him to make, would never have expected him to make. And the guy says that he got lucky. And so the rumor spread that this guy must be using some kind of anal beads to cheat. Now, if y'all don't know, if y'all aren't familiar, in the past on like the world championship stage, it's just like any other sport. It's like if there's a way to cheat, people find a way to cheat. And one of the ways people used to cheat is they would have something in their teeth or something, a ring or something, and they would be getting signals from outside. So now when they play these big games, that's why they play them in person. They are scanned, like there's no way to get a radio signal into one of the players or out for that matter. They would detect it immediately. Now obviously there's a way to beat every system. And so, and something else you need to understand is it doesn't have to be like Morse code, right? Nobody has to be telling you precisely what move to make. Right? All they really need to do is buzz the thing to tell you, that there is a move other than the normal move. Like just something to signal you to like look further or think about it harder. Just anything like that is an advantage, especially at the highest level. The slightest advantage is crazy. But like I said, these guys are patted down, scanned. The RF signals are blocked, and so the speculation is he must have some sort of high-tech anal beads that are vibrating in his butthole while he's playing. And let me tell y'all something. I'm an Occam's razor kind of guy, and the simplest answer is usually the correct answer. And I think it's just that Magnus has been so good for so long. And the possibility of someone that he's already beat, because he used to beat the shit out of this guy. He used to beat the fuck out of this guy like he did everyone else. But this guy in particular used to just get mollywopped. And him losing to this guy, one game to this guy, he couldn't fathom. And so, he's letting these rumors sit out there he's been a sore loser. That's what it looks like to me. That's the most likely explanation. I mean, radio signal anal beads, it's definitely possible. And here's the other thing I left out. I did leave out this piece of information. This guy was caught cheating before online on chess.com a long time ago. He was caught for cheating. online, which is very, very, very easy to do because you can open up these chess engines that it's what the masters use to study. They study certain openings, they study certain positions, they learn all the possible moves and which one is most beneficial and so on and so forth, and they memorize them. But you can just open up one of these and play beside, like have it open in one window and your chess.com open in the next window. And the thing is, chess.com it analyzes your play so thoroughly that it can tell that you're cheating when you start making moves on a level beyond what, if you have a gradual climbing ability, that's normal. But if all of a sudden you making grandmaster level moves when you were a novice, they can tell. You know, they know all your habits. They know how long it usually takes you to move. They know the value from each move and all of that stuff. So the analytics are at that point where if you cheat long enough, you're going to get caught. Anyway, that was a long time ago, and I guess once someone has been labeled a cheater, it's easy to put that, cast aspersions on them in the future. But again, he got caught cheating in a different way when he was a young person. I think he just beat you, bro. I think he just beat you. You know, I mean, unless you got proof that it was something up his ass, you just gonna have to take that L.
We should point out that Magnuson is not the one, or Carlson is not the one that is claiming that that Neiman is cheating. Neiman is the younger guy.
Well, he's not claiming that he's cheating, but he sort of sicked the dogs on him, though. Like he didn't call him a cheater, but he says something to the effect of like, well, I can't think of any possible way he could have possibly beat me. Like nobody makes that kind of move. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And he knew what the consequences of saying that were going to be, because in the chess community, they're very, very, it's a volatile fucking place. Like
There's a lot of ego.
It's a whole lot of egos, and it's like, and there are cults in a way. It reminds me of, speaking of which, it reminds me of like Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B, where it's like on Twitter, where it's like they have fan bases like that, where they got words for you at all times. As soon as you tweet something, they at your neck and that sort of thing. So it's like it's that kind of loyalty or enthusiasm or whatever the right word would be. Or maybe he was just like, fuck it, and just move the piece. Just like, I gotta do something that's not orthodox and just move the piece. I don't know. But I mean, that's what he says. He says he got lucky.
Right.
And so why we can't just leave it at that? And like, because there's no x-rays of his anus. So, I mean, you just gotta take his word. There's no way you're gonna ever, unless it's, because that's the other thing. For you to cheat, you gotta have somebody you're cheating with.
Right.
And unless that guy or girl confesses, then we gotta take his word for it, man. Some people are just nuts. Some people are nuts. Speaking of which, I don't know if because I'm into the nerd shit, the fantasy shit. I'm loving the new Game of Thrones. What is it, House of the Dragon?
Yeah. And
I'm into the new Lord of the Rings. That's on Amazon. I'm into the new. Actually, I'm not really excited for the new Little Mermaid, but that's because I was never really a fan of Little Mermaid. But all these things are controversial for several reasons. But the main thing they all have in common is that there are black people in them now.
You can add Sandman to that list too.
Sandman?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is one of the Sandman characters was not black in the comics?
Yeah, Death.
Oh, really? I did. Okay. So, but you know what though? I haven't seen much online backlash about Death being black, because I did watch the Sandman, but I did not read the books. Is there?
I think there was a little bit of backlash about that. There was also some backlash over Gwendolyn Christie being cast as Lucifer, because Lucifer was pretty obviously male presenting in the comics, and then people got mad about it when they cast a woman as Lucifer.
Yeah.
And Neil Gaiman actually went in on the guy who posted that, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, Satan, even in outside of the fictional, well, I guess religion is fictional, but I mean, you know what I mean. Outside of the things that everyone 100% agrees is fiction, Satan, the angels don't have genitalia.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why Satan hates humans. It's because he can't come. Right? Is that one of the things? Or
that'll make you rebel.
Yeah, or am I fusing that with an Anne Rice novel? I don't know. But yeah, one of the big controversies between all of these shows is that there are characters that are black that were not black in the source material. And people are upset with this, even if that source material did not mention a race of a person or even describe their skin tone. Some people are really upset about this, which is fucking hilarious to me. Black Targaryens are upsetting people. I'm sorry, they weren't. He's not a Targaryen. He's a
Valinor or Valyrian.
He's a Valyrian, which I guess the Targaryens are also Valyrians. But yeah, all the Valyrians, it doesn't say this is an ancient people that were dead long before the original Game of Thrones, or the original Song of Ice and Fire. I'm not sure what the issue is. With I think there's just there's a specific group, because here's my problem. I don't have a problem with, because there is a way that shoehorned diversity can ruin a story.
Sure.
Right? But this is not one of them. To me anyway. It's that whole like I think Marvel was a little guilty of it to some degree. But just cast, because Hollywood has this long history of of white people playing minorities, even if they're playing someone that really existed. You know what I mean? There's a whole ass classic movie of all white people playing Egyptians.
Right.
Or
like John Wayne playing Genghis Khan.
Right. Or Jesus.
Right.
All of
that's the big one.
That's the big, huge, giant one. Yeah, Jesus. Anyway, also, I learned this. The Little Mermaid, the original story that the story that Disney based their Little Mermaid off of was if we talk about sticking to the source material, I mean, this is gonna blow your fucking mind. The original story was it was about the author's like unrequited gay love.
Right. He wrote it after he went into a deep depression after the man that he was in love with got engaged.
Right. And I want to say the mermaid kills herself, right?
Yeah, she jumps into the water and she turns into sea foam. She obliterates herself.
Yeah, so, I mean, if that's what we're trying to do, I'm all about that. If we want to make it dark, I'm down to go dark with it.
But here's the I think the reason why people get freaked out by introduction of Black people into white fantasy is because for a lot of white people, the fantasy is a world without Black people in it.
Right.
It's this imagined Europe lost to the sands of time where there were great heroes and powerful magics and no Black people.
Yeah. I mean, what's also so crazy about that? Because I've heard some people go, actually, you know what? I saved a screenshot of it. I couldn't believe it because sometimes believe it or not, I'm not online as much as it appears that I am, because it makes me crazy. So I keep it to I try to limit the amount of time I'm on social media, but I do recognize that I have to be for my job and my fans and that sort of thing. But I don't I miss a lot. Is what I'm saying. I'm not always abreast of what's trending and what's popular and that sort of thing. So I saw this thing, and boy, I had to take a screenshot of it. This dude was saying, I'm not saying that those who have whitewashed history shouldn't be held accountable. But if you wish to have accurate source material, in quotes, as you put it, then geography does need to be considered. To use your Hobbit example, they were never enslaved and shipped around Middle Earth, so they wouldn't have been exposed to the southern climates that would have resulted in that magnitude of skin tone variance. The only way a colored Hobbit would be possible is if there was interbreeding with Southrons, something that, while technically possible, is an extremely rare occurrence given their respective cultural history. That dude was talking about hobbits, my guy. Their respective cultural hobbits? Yeah. So it's like, for some people, it's that serious. It's not that serious for me. You know? Because it's wild to me, because I guarantee you, the same white people, because don't get me wrong, so, listen, the point I'm trying to make is, there are people that are nerded out and legitimately don't like that the source material is not being adhered to what they were expecting. That's a small percentage of the people. Most of these people are using that as an excuse to be racist. They'll say everything except I'm racist. You know what I'm saying? Seeing black people in roles that they think are white roles, it bothers them, and they won't just say that. They got to do shit like this. I don't know which one this dude is, but that's a little deep for it, ain't it? And here's what's so funny to me: the same people that want to quote unquote stick to the source material, I bet you if we made a Venn diagram of those people and the people that don't want to teach the true history of racism in schools, that Venn diagram is a circle. It's the same, like they want to tell the truth about fiction, but not the truth about the truth. You know? And so, fuck you guys. Keep on keeping on. Keep on powering in. Powering on. All I care about is it a good story? Is it well written? Is it well acted? Do the choices make sense? You know, I recently started watching what's the name of that shit? It's something on Netflix, Murder in Ohio or something like that, and it's like a horror show, something in Ohio, and you know, and it's one of those things that's like good, and then
Devil in Ohio. But it's like they make these choices where it's like they always make the lazy choice, you know? Like someone's looking in the, like I swear I was sitting there watching it the other day with this comic, Tony Casillas. We were watching it, and I swear we were predicting the dialogue. Mm-hmm. That's how cliche the movie is. Like every trope is like every time they got to a point where they had to make a choice, they were like, let's do something that's been done 1,000,000 times. You know what I mean? It like to the point where it's like, you know, someone's washing their face in the bathroom, and it's like, well, we know that when she closes that mirror, there's gonna be somebody behind her. Yeah.
It's like, why? And I get that, like, I understand if like you have to sprinkle those throughout a movie or show sometimes. Sometimes you got to give people what they expected, but I'm talking about every single time. Every single time it's a chance to do some kind of cliche shit, they fucking did it. And but the story's great other than that. But some of the choices they make, it just irritates me. I couldn't make it past the 3rd episode. I was like, I just can't. I can't finish this.
We almost watched that, but we ended up passing on it because we watched the trailer and we're like, if this was an 85-minute movie, mm-hmm. I'd be down for it. But it's like 6 episodes of a series. And I was like, we just saw all the most interesting shit from the entire series.
Are you an anime guy?
Yeah.
So I totally passed over this, but now I'm hooked on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh hell yeah!
I can't stop watching it. I can't stop. And that's the thing. It's corny. It's like it's purposely corny. It's corny, but it's self-aware of its corniness, and then it goes from corny to badass to corny to badass. And I'm with it. I'm here for every fucking second of it. But
I'm also a big fan of any anime. Like, did you ever watch Trigun?
No.
Oh, Trigun was dope, but it's one of those shows where you could see from week to week, like the episode would start and there would be some shitty animation. You're like, okay, this is a filler episode. They put the fucking B team on, and like, the animation would be terrible. And then the next episode would start and it would be like real crisp and sharp. Like, all right, some cool shit's going to happen in this one because they put the A squad on it. This is varsity shit.
This is the golden age of anime right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like some of the best animes of all time are being made right now. And I wasn't a huge anime guy, but I liked the shit I liked, you know? But now, I mean, like Demon Slayer and Ranking of Kings and it's just so
Attack on Titan.
Oh, what did it say? What?
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. See, I just started that. I skipped over a whole lot of shit, and now I have like what Attack on Titan is like 13 seasons or something crazy.
Attack on Titan's really weird because they've been in their final season for like several years now. And they are doing that thing where it's like season 4, part 1.
Oh, right.
And then they have a break, but then each part is basically the length of a season. And there's a bunch of really weird reasons why they do that have to do with like getting hype around a season. Like if you say, oh, this is the penultimate season, nobody cares. But if you say this is the final season, then you get the hype machine going, and then you can have 2 seasons be. It's
like a store having a clearance sale and then not going out of business.
It's like how many times has Kiss gone on their farewell tour? Right.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get into One Piece, but there's like 700 episodes, and so apparently there's an online guide as to which episodes you really need to watch because most of it's filler. So I'm trying to get into that, but I don't know. I just missed a lot of it. Plus, also, it was hard to get it. It was hard to get anime here. Now, you know, the streaming services they're starting to catch on that like there's an audience for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I subscribe to Crunchyroll, but a lot of the shit's on Netflix. So we'll see. All right, let me
started watching Bastard, by the way. It's pretty dope.
Oh yeah, Bastards. Yeah, can you see what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't believe they let that shit be on. Like that shit definitely went by over somebody's head. Let me see if we have any goddamn emails before we get into the articles.
We owe Harold a shout out because we went kind of hard on him, but he should know that.
Oh yeah, Harold.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, Harold thought we really fucking like hate him or whatever. We love you, Harold. No. Always write in, please.
Please write in all the time.
If I shit on you, it's all for comedic effect, you know, because I do the same thing to Rob. Julio says, "Hey Brian, I heard you talking about how difficult it is to trust YouTube reviews. Have you subscribed to the Twit network Leo Laporte? I have not, but I'll give it a try. I mean, I'm guessing you meant Twitch. No, it says twit.tv. Okay. It is a big tech network talking about all technology. You pick the podcast and can listen or watch. Also, when it comes to TV reviews and headphones reviews, you should check out Scott Wilkinson from AVS Forums. He's really good at reviewing sound and things like that. Yeah, I wonder what Scott thinks about my Z9K purchase. It was not the price. I know I overpaid. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm like 90% happy with it. Okay, so I will check those things out. Thank you very much, Julio. All right, Joseph says, so he said, I love when people include an article in what they sent. China plans 3 moon missions after discovering new lunar material. Have you heard this from the Business Insider, Rob?
I did not hear about this.
China plans on 3 missions to the moon after discovering a new lunar material that may be a future energy source. Wait a minute, are they talking about what is it? That shit H3? China like the hydrogen with the extra I forget what they call it.
Ionic hydrogen.
Yeah. China aims to launch the mineral. Oh no. The mineral Changsite Y could be a future source of energy and was found in lunar samples. But wait a minute. How did they discover a new material if they haven't been to the moon since we went, right? China is aiming
it comes a day after China became the third country to discover a new lunar material. Does that mean that there are multiple new lunar materials that have been found and China is the third country to find one?
Or they're the third ones to find this one? Well,
yeah.
We can't put it above China to be like, we discovered this. China is aiming to launch 3 unarmed missions to the moon after discovering a new material. The space race between China and the U.S. is accelerating after Beijing's National Space Administration got the go-ahead to launch 3 orbiters to the moon over the next 10 years. It announced on Saturday. The news was first reported by Bloomberg. It comes a day after China became the third country. China's Chang'e 5 mission retrieved samples from the moon in 2022, and it has been described by Global Times as a phosphate mineral in columnar crystal found in the lunar rock particles. The mineral contains helium-3. Yeah, that's what I meant, not hydrogen. Helium-3, which could be a future source of energy. Well, we already knew that helium-3 was on the moon. The discovery may put more pressure on the U.S. to ramp up its efforts after its Artemis 1 moon mission was postponed for a second time. Moon mining can be the next source of tension between the countries as NASA is also probing the moon's south pole, where China plans to build a research station in conjunction with Russia. China has accelerated its efforts in space exploration of late by building a space station, launching a number of missions to collect moon samples, and putting a rover called Zhurong on Mars earlier this year to rival NASA. The U.S. remains the only country to put astronauts on the moon, with the last landing almost 50 years ago in the Apollo 17 mission. The U.S. Apollo 11 mission was the first to bring samples from the moon back to Earth in July 1969, with about 49 pounds of material from the moon's surface. China's National Space Administration was contacted for comment. Okay, well, listen, the U.S. has fallen behind on a great many of things when it comes to science, because we have a bunch of fucking anti-intellectuals here that seem to think that it's the thing. It's my main criticism that I say all the time is the people. A lot of the criticism of socialism is warranted, but capitalism's biggest flaw is that when something has to happen, when something is best but it's not profitable, it's impossible in a capitalist society. And so, you hear a lot about the Large Hadron Collider. Well, we were supposed to have the largest collider here in Texas, actually, and funding was cut. We had plans to build it. The plans were set, and it was going to be larger than the one they built in CERN. But we canceled it. It's like we made this purposeful effort for for scientific advancement to not occur in America. And I don't, and so it's inevitable that we're gonna fall behind. I mean, think about what's happening right now with the chip shortage. Now there's this big panic to make it so we make more chips here. And we're behind. And now I think people are starting to see it as a national security issue. Don't forget, like the article said, we were the first ones to go to the moon. We were the first ones to send people to the moon, and then we just gave up. It's been 50 years since we had a moon mission, and now now that China going, and oh shit, it's money up there. Now we behind because it's money now. I think our grandchildren are like right now. We trying to save the environment. We're gonna fail. And our grandchildren are going to be trying to save the moon, because they're gonna discover some shit. Like they're gonna start mining the moon, and they're gonna discover that like it's slowly drifting away from Earth because it's lighter or some shit. Like something's gonna happen, and we're just gonna. I don't know, man. I'm like 90% cynic now. We should have a percentage up in the corner of how cynical I am. This week, like
a thermometer that just moves up and down.
Because once I reach 100%, it's once I reach 100%, I'm gonna behead myself in a bank lobby or something like that.
I think one of the problems is like people compare their imagined theoretical models for a socialist economic system to a capitalist economic system, and the reality is that virtually every country has some form of a mixed economy.
Oh yeah,
pretty much
yeah.
every modern economy is mixed in some way.
Yeah, we tried pure socialism here before, and I think we've talked about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. It's my favorite example to bring up, which kind of sparked the labor movement and I guess in some ways held the country together. Because you got to remember, capitalism here sprung from slavery. So it was like slavery's illegal. The pro-slavery people lost the war, but it's like, but how do we maintain this level of production? Well, we stay as close to slavery as possible, right? So that was our original version of capitalism, is like work people as much as you can possibly extract as much as you possibly fucking can from them and give them as little in return so that it's not slavery, you know? And that didn't fucking work. People were dying and people got sick of dying. And then it took a whole bunch of women dying in this shirtwaist factory fire for it to be a problem. It was like, oh shit, oh wait a minute, we got to do something. We got to have like rules and stuff to protect people from just being worked to death. We got to have a weekend. We got to have workplace safety measures and all of this shit that are very much socialist ideas. That
I don't think that's accurate, though. I think that you're mixing a couple of things together. I think, number one, I think that slavery is heavily intertwined with the rise of capitalism as a powerful economic force prior to abolition, because a lot of the most powerful capitalist enterprises rose up around the slave trade.
Oh yeah.
Around farming. I'm
not saying capitalism came after slavery. I'm saying our particular brand of capitalism back when it was just pure capitalism without slavery. The notion was to stay as close to that as we possibly could be. Right? It was born of that, of like, well, we still need to have this level of production without losing anything, and I guess in some ways some people still think like that. That's why some people will forgive any evil if it's business.
Right.
There's some people that are like, that's business. It's just business. It's not personal. It's business. I hate it when that's a line in a movie. It's not personal. It's just business. All business is personal. It's personal to somebody. Oh, because when you say it's not personal, it's just business, all you're saying to somebody is, I don't give a fuck about you in particular. This is business for me. You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you fucking with people's livelihood, that's personal. Everyone that's ever said it's not personal, it's just business, would take it real personal if you destroyed their business. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. They take it real personal when you try to destroy their business, but then they'll turn around and tell you it's not personal. When they're fucking you over, it's not personal, but when you fucking them over, they take it real serious. They'll start a whole fucking war. They'll start a war, they'll poison the motherfucker, Yeah, but my point is, I digress. We've tried this whole law of iron wages shit before, and it didn't work, and we needed to integrate socialist ideas to keep capitalism from collapsing. It would have collapsed a long time ago. Like Marx's whole theory about the workers rising up and all that would have happened. It started to happen. Right. That was the whole labor movement. It started to happen. We had to integrate some socialist ideas. So, I seriously believe the real solution is somewhere in the middle. Everyone has a mixed economy, like Rob said. And, if you ask me, we're not quite socialist enough. Capitalism can work within reason. I mean, I don't know. Have we ever tried anything different?
That's the problem. We don't really try anything different. We have either capitalism or we have either laissez-faire capitalism or we have regulated capitalism. And the reality is that all capitalism is regulated capitalism because there is no such thing as an actual free market. You have to have legislation that determines what you can sell and under what terms.
What do you think? What do you think about these compassionate capitalist people?
I think that they are,
Be nice,
like
Rob.
compassionate conservatives and that kind of stuff. I think that those are people who recognize correctly that left to its own devices, capitalism will sow the seeds of its own destruction.
Rob, I am so mad at you, dude.
Why?
Because you should have immediately insisted that this is the first thing we talked about. I just opened my phone back up to the Trello.
Okay.
And the first headline I see, I think I accidentally opened it. Capitol Records cuts ties with AI-generated rapper FN Meka over racist stereotypes. This is the end of the world. This is the end of the world. So I'm guessing this AI-generated rapper. Oh my God! I'm guessing they did the same thing they did with this art, with this one that's drawing shit. Right? Is they showed it all rap, and then they let it create rap. Right? Like they let it absorb all the rap it could, and then they turn it into a rapper.
Dude, it goes even deeper than that. Because I've done a deep dive on FN Meka, and FN Meka started. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that they fed, millions of rap songs into this AI, and that the AI has its own voice and it can write music and stuff like that. That's not what it actually does. That is the scam. What they actually did was FN Meka started out as a character that was going to be in a video game, and it was supposed to be like a fighting game,
okay.
And then it became like a battle royale or something, and they had all these different characters, and then they hired this guy who is an actual rapper to be the voice of FN Meka after he turned in tracks and stuff like that. They used that voice and they cut him out completely. They stopped returning his phone calls and stuff. So FN Meka isn't really an AI generated rapper as much as he is an avatar or a virtual influencer, which there are plenty of virtual influencers around the world. But they're just basically animated cartoon characters that have a whole team behind them making their music and rapping for them. But they originally claimed that he was solely based on AI, and that turned out to be false.
But this fake rapper, this AI rapper, is not black either, because it says in the article that it was a lot of problems with its gratuitous use of the N-word.
Right.
But it was an all-white team behind the project, so that was why there was an issue. But it's but this guy is I
believe the main team is two people, and one of them is a white guy, and one of them is an Asian guy.
Right. But then the avatar is sort of like this ambiguous. I mean, I guess I would say he was light-skinned, black, but it's very weird. Because it's this is what you imagine a rapper to be. You understand what I'm saying? It's this is, because this exposes, this is what Hollywood is, right? It's a bunch of people that have nothing to do with the groups that they're trying to write into things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's this is because to me, it's all these stereotypes come from Hollywood. They're bolstered because of this situation right here in writers' rooms all throughout show business, is people that are not connected culturally to some culture that they're trying, and then they get to represent that to white people, and then we all grow up with this image of what that thing is in our head, and it's impossible to, it's impossible to get it out.
This is just technological minstrelsy. This is literally just blackface.
Technological minstrel shows. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's these, even to the point of hiring a black person to write your music and then cutting them out of the deal afterwards, right? And then creating I mean, this is just a cartoon character that they're using to say the N-word. That's pretty much all it is, and steal money out of the pocket of actual black artists.
Okay, I can't find any music by effing Meka, but I have songs featuring effing Meka. I have one song featuring effing Meka called Florida Water. By NCAA Trap Jesus. But is this, I don't know which one is which.
He's the main one on Florida Water. The features are Gunna and Clicks.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Well, I gotta listen. I'm not gonna listen to that anymore. I don't know. I don't care enough to parse which rapper is which, because I don't know which order they appear in the song. But this is one of the. It's hilarious, but also disturbing. You know that, like, and this happened a week after they announced it. They decided to back off it. You know.
Yeah, because they got a lot of scrutiny on it, and Martini, who's like the main guy behind it, he has come clean about like a lot of the stuff that he said about how FN Meka was developed and how the music was created was all bullshit to, quote, create intrigue around the brand.
Right. Cunt. All right. Something a little lighter. How about that? Why does everything on Netflix look like that? What does that mean? Oh, this is Vice. I'm not a fan of Vice, to be honest with you, but let's see. Why does everything on Netflix look like that? Even if you don't know what to look for, you probably be able to guess if something was created for Netflix just based on a few frames. Against all odds, the Netflix adaptation of The Sandman is a very good show. That's true, at least the first half. But why does it look like that? You know what I'm talking about, the so-called Netflix look. Netflix's in-house produced television shows and movies tend to all have the same look and feel, to the point that it's sometimes really distracting. Although it's hard to pinpoint what exactly makes all Netflix shows look the same, a few things stand out. The image in general is dark and the colors are extremely saturated, especially in scenes at night. There tends to be a lot of colored lighting, making everything look like it's washed in neon, even if the characters are inside. Actors look like the makeup is caked on their faces, and details in their costumes, like puckering seams, are unusually visible. Most annoying to me, everything is also shot in an extremely conventional way, using the most conventional setups to indicate mystery or intrigue. Yeah. Well, what is he complaining about exactly?
He's complaining about a few different things, and I have noticed Netflix shows have a certain look to them, right? Part of it is that because Netflix tried to generate so much content so quickly, they had to streamline the process, and they had to go a little bit deeper in the bench to have lots of different productions happening at the same time. So they wanted to future-proof their content, right? To make it, they wanted it all shot in 4K HDR for when 4K became right. And they also, so they have limited they have a limited camera list. They have a list of the cameras that you can actually use if you are a cinematographer or a director on a Netflix show. And because they are cutting some of these budgets and have so many different productions going on at the same time, you don't really have the time or the privilege to experiment with different ideas or take a lot of time to plan out shots completely. So a lot of these Netflix shows look like they are edited together from basically like coverage, right? Where they're just like, look, we just got to get it in the can and then we'll deal with it later. So if you do that, you shoot with a very like shallow depth of field. You try to make sure everything in the frame is going to be is going to be in focus, so that when you bring it into post, you can do all the little stuff, like especially on Sandman. You notice it's like they have that vignetted look around the edge.
Yeah.
You know, where it's kind of blurred, and sometimes it's like kind of almost hurts your head to watch because it's very obviously digitally altered to make it look like film, but it doesn't look like film. So they use the same lighting setup all the time. They use the same cameras all the time. And it's just kind of very boring blocking because they don't have time to come up with and execute well on more interesting setups or angles or shots.
Okay. All right.
Everything's very dark and very saturated.
But I don't understand why that's, because that makes sense. If there's a good reason behind it, I don't understand what is this guy's complaint? What does he want to be done differently?
I think the complaint is that different shows should look different. It'd be better if, I don't think Sandman's a very good show. I love the comic, but I think that the adaptation is pretty weak, and a big part of that is I think the show looks pretty ugly.
Rob, why don't you just say that Death being black makes you uncomfortable?
Sorry, that's really I have to come up with some reason.
No,
why I hate it.
I like the first. Actually, Black Death doesn't come up until the second half.
Yeah.
But that's just so happens to be when I think it stops being as good.
Mm-hmm.
Because their justification for what happens, because in the first half, the justification for everything that's happening makes sense. In the second half, it just feels kind of forced. So, but I liked it enough to finish it, even though I wasn't enjoying it as much towards the end. What the fuck does this mean? Breaking. Anti-choice leader arrested for solicitation of a minor. Wow, what a shocker. Texas Right to Life says that Bowen's employment was terminated on August 3rd. So who's Bowen? They didn't say who he was. The political director of Texas Right to Life, the state's largest and oldest anti-abortion organization, has been arrested for solicitation of a minor. Luke Bowen has deleted his Twitter, removed his picture from LinkedIn, presumably because it matches the released mugshot, and taken down any mention of Texas Right to Life on his LinkedIn work history. In response, the group has been scrubbing Bowen's name from their website. Texas Right to Life has removed his name from press releases and are deleting entire web pages that featured Bowen, including one where he ran a training for college students. We could probably get one of those AIs where we can feed it every article where some conservative has gotten caught doing something sexually inappropriate, and just have it write us a new one every week, because this doesn't surprise me one fucking bit. Not one fucking bit. Every time. It's the people trying to control how everybody else living that's out here living foul. Right? It's always the people overly concerned with how other people live in their life because they feel guilty about how they live in theirs. You know what I'm saying? It's very rarely is it a member of the thing. It's always the leader, the loud voice that's like, it's inappropriate, and then they get caught trying to suck dick in the airport bathroom and like, I was just tapping my foot. Okay, that's probably a reference that's way out there for some people. But it was a senator. Remember that senator? He was like, I think he was in Alaska. He was an Alaskan senator. He got caught at a gay.
Larry Craig.
He got caught in the airport giving the signal at a gay cruising spot, which was in an airport bathroom. He got caught giving the signal, like tapping his foot underneath the stall to the next guy, trying to get his dick sucked or trying to suck a dick. I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know if they caught him doing something. But it was a sting. And the thing is, the cops weren't following him. They just found out about the area and it was a sting. They were just looking out at the area, and he got caught up in it. And he's one of the, you know what I'm saying? Or you found out these pray the gay away people. Next thing you know, there's a rent boy coming up going, yeah, he paid to fuck me. I am never shocked. Whenever you meet these people that are adamantly, vehemently anti-fun, they always having fun that they feel guilty about. That's all I'm saying. The anti-drug people do drugs. The anti-abortion people be having abortions. The anti-gay people be gay as shit. You can almost, it's like clockwork. It's like clockwork. You can bet your ass the next guy that's vehemently anti-gay is going to be gay. The next guy that's anti-abortion, he going to get caught doing something illicit, something unbecoming or whatever. Now, they didn't go into details about what they meant by soliciting a minor. I don't know. What did he message her on a chat room? Was he trying to pick up a hooker on the street? Like, was any details?
Soliciting sex from a minor online.
Online. Yeah, it reminds me of that old George Carlin joke. Maybe we get a clip of him saying it. But where he's like, you ever notice how the people were always worried about who everybody's fucking are the people that nobody want to fuck? Or something like that. It's some of that nature. Can we play that?
What?
Oh, Georgie George. If he was alive today, he'd have been canceled 6 months ago.
For what?
You said for what?
What would he be canceled for?
Because he, much like myself, he wasn't really on a side. I mean, I guess you could call him a liberal in terms of his beliefs, but he very much was. He was very much against people being full of shit, regardless of which sides they were on. It was like, and I think it's just harder now to call out people on the left that are full of shit because it's very easy to paint you as against whatever group they're in. You know what I mean? Like it's this whole. Because I feel like both sides are bad at taking criticism, but the penalty for the left being against you is way harsher. I'm talking about the average person. So it's like you can't. There's a bunch. I just feel like there's a bunch of people on the left that see themselves as protected from criticism of any kind. That's this whole idea of punching down and punching up, which is nonsense. Is that some people feel like, they had this whole feeling that they could talk to you any kind of way, but you got to watch your step when you talking back, and I don't think he would have done that. You know what I mean?
Where are the bodies? Like, who's being canceled by the people on the left for punching down or whatever?
No one's really being canceled.
Right.
Yeah, very few people are really being canceled. But that don't stop them from fucking trying. If it were up to them, you would be dead. You know what I'm saying? If it were up to them, you would never be nowhere. You would be, you know what I'm saying? You would be erased from your online presence. And that has happened to a few people.
Like who?
Who was the most prominent guy that just got? I forget his name. Andrew Tate.
Well, but he's a sex trafficker.
Allegedly.
Okay.
And he got in trouble because he's running a pyramid scheme.
Allegedly.
Okay, but is that why he was taken off social media? That's not why. No, it isn't. No.
Why do you think he was taken off social media?
Because listen, all those things that you just said have been true for a long time. The reason he was taken off social media is because he was saying shitty things about women. That's what sparked. That's when people were like, okay, enough of your pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? But the pyramid scheme was how he got famous in the first place. So it's like that. No one had a problem with that. It was just, but now that you know, but it's like once you come out to certain groups, they coming for your neck. They're gonna dig up all the skeletons out your closet, this and that. George Carlin would not have lasted in today's climate.
I'm not convinced by that, man. I gotta say.
No,
I'm not convinced by that. I don't see it. You have to be like, Andrew Tate is so beyond the pale. Like, you have to go so far to.
Okay, here's another example. Patrice O'Neal. You think Patrice O'Neal would be okay right now?
Now, Patrice O'Neal probably would have been. Yeah. I think Patrice O'Neal would have been a good test case for it, because if anybody would be canceled, kicked off of, permaban from Twitter and shit for political or social beliefs, then Patrice O'Neal would have been a good test case.
But also the thing too, George's big thing was about, saying whatever he wanted to say, and right now in our political climate, it's like you have to be very, very, very careful of what you say, because that's the stuff that can derail your shit. You know what I mean? Like look at Shane Gillis. Mm-hmm. He said chink one time on a podcast, and his dream was just ripped out from under. Now he's doing fine now.
Yeah,
but people didn't know that, nor did they care. They see that's and maybe I should be more clear about this. My big problem with shit is it, and I think we've talked about this before, but it's everyone wants accountability with no responsibility, right? It's like it's easy to walk in a room and go, someone should do something, and then you go, well, what should be done? And they go, well, I ain't got time for all of that. You know what I mean? That's what everybody's doing now. It's like they like, there should be a penalty for this, and then you go, well, what exactly should the penalty be? And no one wants to have that discussion. So what ends up happening is it's the harshest penalty for everyone. You know what I mean? Because they're fine with that. Like, they're like, something should be done. And even if that's the worst thing, that's fine too. But they're, but we have to admit that, like, there are worse offenses than others.
Sure.
And nobody wants, but that's what I'm saying. No one wants to have the discussion about nuance or context or any of that. They just want blood. And then they don't want to be responsible for the aftermath, But it's hard to call that out without it seeming, like it would be like, it would be like if somebody would, like if I was like, somebody's like, yeah, Andrew Tate is a pedophile. And I was like, well, actually, he's not a pedophile. And they'd be like, oh, so you defending pedophiles? I'm like, well, no. I'm just saying, what did he actually do? Because I didn't know nothing about the sex trafficking thing. But it's like people are more than willing. It's hard for you to call out the caller outers without them flipping the script on you. I mean, not for me, because I'm not afraid of backlash if I feel like I'm speaking the truth. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean it's not gonna come. It doesn't mean that they're not gonna try.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing a lot. I feel like every time somebody, especially in the comedy world, comedians. This is a bug in the bonnet for a lot of comedians, right?
What, cancel culture?
Cancel culture. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. But cancel culture is not. It's real. It's just not what some people purport it to be. But there is a culture of, because I like to call it call out culture. There's a culture of people that get off on calling people out, because that's what they get social credit for.
Yes.
And they don't care what the consequences of those call outs are.
Okay, yeah. I think that I agree with you that George Carlin would definitely be called out for some of the stuff that, I mean, obviously he died so long ago. We have no idea what his comedy would be like or what his attitude would be like in 2022. But, if you kind of make an educated guess based off of like what he was in comparison to the general culture at the time, at like his height, right? You can make some educated guesses about that. But I think that he would definitely be called out for certain things, but I'm not sure that he would really be canceled in the sense that I don't think anybody would be taking any money out of his pocket. I don't think he'd be losing business.
That's the thing. He would lose money, but he would get it back somewhere else. Whereas like, cause that's the real thing is the reason why cancel culture isn't what people say it is because it's only because the mob, so to speak, for lack of a better term, only has power and influence over certain entities.
Right.
And so the only business the only business that you are in any danger of losing is the business you're doing with those entities that will respond to that. You know what I mean? Because please believe, like, if the right people complained and you had a deal at ABC, you're not gonna have a deal at ABC no more.
True.
You know what I mean? So I mean that is real. I mean, because you can't say cancel culture doesn't exist, and then I say Andrew Tate, and then you go, he's different. It was like, well, someone had the power. Like he got canceled because the power to cancel him exists. You know?
So let me clarify something. When I say cancel culture doesn't exist, I should probably not say it that way. What I should say is the version of cancel culture that I think a lot of people mean when they say cancel culture doesn't really exist.
Oh yeah, well we agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what a lot of times when people say, when they verbalize fears of being canceled, or that guy would have been canceled, or you can't make Blazing Saddles today or whatever, right? Because it would be canceled or something like that. I think that those people are, I don't think they're being accurate. I think that they are talking about a version of cancel culture that doesn't exist, because the version that they're envisioning is where somebody says something for which there really shouldn't be a penalty, but then the like woke mob or politically correct mob or whatever comes through and like they slime them and they make them persona non grata and they lose their job or they lose.
Oh, you don't think that's real?
I don't think it's real to the degree that people fear it, but I think a lot of people actually they become more popular fighting the culture war that people think they're taking part in when they talk about cancel culture. There's a lot of money to be made playing the victim of cancel culture, or saying, like, I mean, how many comedians? I mean, it's not really popular now, but like 2, 3, 4 years ago, how many like right-wing comedians, or even just like kind of hacky comedians, had specials that were called like cancel this or can't cancel this or cancel or triggered? How many fucking comedians had some shitty hour-long special called Triggered? Yeah, right? I think it
was only like 6 or 7.
But that's a lot, dude. And I think it's more than that too, actually. I think it was more than that. I think and a lot more comedians even beyond that had their little passage and their hour-long thing. It's the same shit. Like when I was a kid, everybody talked about political correctness. And every generation has some watchword for a thing where it's like, you can't say anything now. People are too sensitive, mm-hmm. And it becomes its own brand. Well, and that becomes something that you can sell.
Because I'd say that's only true because it's not the whole truth, right? Because people are too sensitive, but you can still say anything. That's the thing.
Yes.
But it's just that the response to that thing is going to be way over the top because people are too sensitive.
Right. Well, to go back to like the Andrew Tate thing, it's like that's why I would say he was. If you want to call that canceled, fine. But then we need a different word for what are we talking about when somebody says this is cancel culture, meaning like this person received an outcome that was harsher than what they deserved. I think the distinction is when we're talking about cancel culture, where like, somebody gets caught we're lumping everything. We as a society, we're like lumping everything together in this conversation. Where it's like, if somebody Harvey Weinstein was canceled for raping people.
Well, no,
right?
no, that's not canceled.
No,
That's punished.
No, I know, but some people do refer. So I'm talking about, we need to delineate between those things.
See, so this is a much more nuanced conversation to be having then, because I'd say that in a generation that values a social media presence and fame and likes, being banned from social media is worse than it is to our generation. You know what I'm saying? Like if I walk, because people are like, oh, it's not a big deal, so you can't be on Twitter. But it's like, if I took the average like teenage girl and banned them from Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, that would be devastating to them. So what I mean is that the ability to be on social media is very, very, very valuable to the generation of people that see canceling someone or getting them off of platforms as death. You know what I mean? It's like, because it doesn't mean as much to us. I mean, I'm only on social media to the extent that it's necessary for this career in comedy. And I started doing comedy at a time when it wasn't really necessary. And now it sort of is. But if there was some way for me to do comedy and not be on social media, I would totally take it. But I understand that there's people that are younger than me, and they grew up with social media, and it's so much a part of their culture that being banned from social media is like, it's almost like being exiled. You know what I mean? And so so what I'm saying is, to the people that are trying to do the canceling, they see it as worse. They see themselves as powerful from being able to do it. They do see it as a big deal, and that's why they're trying to do it to you. They're trying to do one of the worst things they can imagine to you because they don't like what you're saying. That's real. Yeah. Now, is Andrew Tate poor? No. Am I gonna be out here caping for this nigga? No, I don't care about him. I don't know anything about the guy. Honestly, all I know is I didn't know shit about him, and then for a month and a half, YouTube kept trying to get me to fucking talk about this guy or watch things that he was in. Like, he just came out of nowhere and was just everywhere.
Right.
But and then he was gone. Now I don't hear anything about him at all on any platform. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. So for it's, I guess that's not the death penalty, but like I said, to these kids now, that's death. That's like the next worst thing than to going to prison, to completely be socially ostracized. That's what that is to them. It's like, you're out of the village, you're excommunicated. You don't get to have an online presence at all. I did not know it's because he was breaking the law or whatever, but I still think that's a cop-out. I think they really, if they could have did that shit to Kevin Samuels, they'd have got his ass up out of there too. If Kevin Samuels was talking to white women, he'd have been gone too. You know what I'm saying? But he was talking to black women, but it's like, they really just don't like what he was saying. They got him up out of here. He probably...
obviously the penalty is real, right? Obviously, people, especially entertainers, especially like public figures, make a lot of money off of their reach on the big 3 or 4 platforms, right? And obviously this shows that deplatforming does work, in the sense that, like, you significantly limit somebody's reach and influence and money in certain instances by kicking them off of platforms and not letting them back on. That's for sure. I think that's also proved out by how that's one of the reasons why so many major figures rail against cancel culture, is because they know that to some degree there is even if there haven't been tons and tons and tons of people who have been unfairly canceled, they know that, like somebody like a Ben Shapiro or Dennis Prager or something like that, they know that if these calls to deplatform them on Twitter and YouTube actually were acted upon, then that would significantly that would hinder their ability to make money.
So are you saying that because the ability to cancel isn't on par with the desire to cancel, that it's not a real threat?
I think that the threat is overblown. I would say it's a real threat. I mean, obviously there are individuals, like whenever you say like, well, but who's been canceled? People will come up with Shane Gillis is still like one of the first names that people. Sometimes people will say, Dave Chappelle or Louis C.K. I think we can argue about whether
Dave
those are valid.
Dave Chappelle wasn't canceled.
Right, I know. But some people will say that because there was an attempt to deplatform him, to get him kicked off of Netflix, and it just didn't work because Dave Chappelle is worth more to Netflix on the platform than he is off the platform. It's just a business decision.
But that's the point I'm trying to get down to, right? Is and maybe that's the way to summarize this whole where we differ, right? I think it's accurate to call it cancel culture because the culture, there is the strong desire within the culture to cancel. Now, the power to cancel someone is still not up there with the desire, but it's getting stronger and stronger every day. I mean,
sure.
So to me,
maybe it's getting stronger.
To me, it's not. I don't have to wait till it get there to see it as a threat. To me, I'm just like, I don't take it that serious because, like I said, I think, like you said, right now it's happening to people, quote unquote, fairly. I can't think of too many people that were undeservedly canceled. You're right about that, but
well, so let me say this to return back to what because we started on this when we were talking about George Carlin.
Oh, right.
And the question was, and you said he would be canceled. I think where we differ on that in our perspectives when it comes to George Carlin is I think that definitely he would have said things if he were alive in 2022 and still active. He would have said things that some not insignificant portion of people would want to cancel him for. There would be some significant portion of people on Twitter or whatever saying that he should be deplatformed or he should lose his HBO special or whatever the fuck he had in the hopper, right? He shouldn't be in the next Bill and Ted movie because, he's a misogynist or he's racist or something, right? He would have said something that would have been interpreted that way. I think that he probably wouldn't have been canceled though, because I don't think that he would have said something that was said or done something that was so beyond the pale that he would have deserved to be deplatformed for it. And I think that the number of people calling for his deplatforming would be so small that would not have been powerful enough to actually get him deplatformed.
The only reason he wouldn't have been canceled is because Netflix pays up front. It's like that's the reason they didn't cancel Dave Chappelle. He already had their money.
Yeah,
you get paid. I ain't seen his contract, but I know like you get paid a little bit. You get paid a little bit when you make it, and a little bit when it come out. And so it's already too late for people to be outraged because he already got all his money. It's like that's really the seriousness of it. They already paid people. That's why because they didn't take down cuties, and that was arguably more controversial than anything Dave Chappelle did.
Well, the corporations that put this stuff out, they don't care. They want controversy. They just don't want a critical mass of people to actually
like unsubscribe.
Cancel their subscription.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
That's the other side of it. A lot of these people are fake. They want to see you burn, but they don't want it to cost them nothing. See, that's really, because no one wants anything around them that they don't like. See, I think what it is we live in this curated society. You know what I'm saying? Spotify makes playlists just for you based on your listening. Netflix makes recommendations just for you. YouTube, even Pornhub. Hey, this is what we think you would want to jerk off to. You're surrounded by curation, and so and people that are raised in it, they expect to only be around things that they want to be around. They don't their ability to tolerate things that aren't for them is it's unbearable to them. So, and maybe this is just a transitional generation. Like maybe our grandkids will be dope, but right now it's like that's what it is. The desire to cancel comes from that. It's like anything that offends me slightly should be destroyed. That's how a lot of people feel, and that makes sense. But you got to be able. Oh, you know what? This is a good opportunity. Hey, Mike. Mark, you there?
Yeah, what's going on?
What do you think, Mike? Don't worry, we're not going to show your face.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a camera on my face.
Okay.
Well, recap me a little bit.
We're talking about cancel culture and whether it exists.
Yeah, I think when my friends or when I try to tell somebody or argue that cancel culture doesn't exist, I think the larger point I'm trying to make, or those people are trying to make, is that consequences for your actions do exist, and that's what's going on. But I won't deny that there probably is a portion of our society that is mainly online behind avatars that is looking to get people in trouble. But I think that's a minority. I think for the most part, it's just you have to face consequences for your words and actions, and we're a global community now, and that's why we're seeing it on such a large scale.
Surrounded by these fucking bleeding heart liberals. All right, guys, that's been our newest episode, our Austin, Texas episode. Welcome Mike to the team. Thank God we found a way to keep Rob on board. I hope you guys were entertained by our discussion. We still mostly agree about everything. Anything you need to plug? What we need to plug? Oh yeah, please. I'm gonna be in Tampa, Florida this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and then Detroit at the Detroit House of Comedy on Sunday. And then Washington, D.C. at the D.C. Improv right after that. Then Pittsburgh, right? No, then Pittsburgh. Yeah, so come through. The tickets are BrianSimpsonComedy.com. Go follow me on socials at BSComedian. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. Oh, yeah, don't forget to share. Don't forget to share. If you fuck with me, just share it. I ain't asking you to buy nothing. I'm asking you to buy tickets. But just like, if you share it, spread the word, share it, like it, subscribe it, all of that. All right, see y'all soon.